Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting a vlog reading and reviewing some of my anticipated book releases for 2022. So I've realised that as this year has gone on, I have not read that many new releases, that I've been reading a lot of backlisted titles or starting some series that are older, and I haven't actually been reading that many 2022 releases. So I have a few here that I am very much anticipating and very much excited to read. So I thought I would read and review them and get my thoughts out now as they are being published. So a couple of these have come out and a couple of these are due to come out, and I have advanced copies of them. So I'll just talk through what the focus is. So I think I've got some books which I'm going to talk about a bit more, and then some which I'm just going to pop in. Yeah, so the first book I have for this video is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I also have The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne, the second book in the Bloodsworn saga, the first book being The Shadow of the Gods, which came out last year, so I'm very much anticipating this second book. I then have Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which is her newest romance release. I have loved People We Meet on Vacation and Beach Read, so I'm very much excited to get into this and see her new book. I also have River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty. So these are the short stories that have just been released in the Day for Bad world. If you don't know, I love the Day for Bad trilogy. I absolutely adore it. So this series here, The City of Brass, Kingdom of Copper, Empire of Gold, and these are these short stories that are a companion to that. And then I also have A Mirror Mended, which is the new Alex E. Harrow, which is in her Fractured Fables series. So it's the new novella in that. So those are five releases that I'm going to be talking about, and 5 books I hope to get to in this vlog, and all of them pretty much back to back, I believe. So hopefully there won't be too much time between them. So actually I have already read one of these. I have already read River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty. This collection of short stories, you do have to read the whole of the Day for Bad trilogy to get to this. And these are just short little stories that are interspersed throughout that trilogy. So some of the short stories happen prior to the events in the Day for Bad series. Some of them are during events and some of them are after. And that's how it's structured. At the beginning of each short story, it will say the perspective and where this is set and the spoilers for which books. So some of them have spoilers for the first book, some of them have spoilers for the whole trilogy. I would say just read the whole trilogy first because they're amazing, and then read these short stories. Now, I don't normally rate short stories or companion stories like that highly, I don't think, because they're not like a full story. They're not like something concrete and like a really well plotted thing. But I love this one. I love S.A. Chakraborty's writing. So I gave this 5 stars because I love these characters. I love this world. There's just like nothing that I wouldn't do to have more of them. I could have as many stories as she wants to tell in that world, and I will read them, like whatever, I will read them. I was just so excited to get more in this world. So this is currently just out on audio, unfortunately. The physical edition comes out in October, but the audiobook is out. At least in the UK, it is on Scribd if you're interested in picking it up. It did come out at the beginning of March, I believe, so relatively recently. And I could always have more of these characters. I could just have more of them. I really enjoyed seeing some scenes that are more alluded to in the book. So it was really nice seeing those scenes and seeing those characters a little bit more, especially scenes from the past, which are just, they're really much alluded to. It's the past. And so it was nice actually seeing the past and seeing it happen. And I did really like as well the little bits of extra that we got. So after the ending and seeing some more bits around that, and I just want more. So I'm really excited for any more S.A. Chakraborty books that she ever publishes and releases, because I adore her books. I adore them. So I don't feel like I have that much more to say on it. Just read the Day for Bad trilogy and then you can read these short stories, and that's all I really have to say. And if you've read the Day for Bad trilogy already, then there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't read these short stories. They're just fun. They're just fun. If you're after something like quick, fun, you just want to listen to something, I mean, as they're all like relatively short, you can just listen to one story every so often. You don't have to keep reading it consistently. Like, you can just put one story in whilst you're doing something, and then you can stop when that story finishes. Like, it was just so good. So I am now going to go away and start Book Lovers, continue book lovers. I started like the first chapter last night, so I'm going to read book lovers and then I will check in once I have read that, and I will start reading and reviewing all of these books and getting some reviews out. Three, two, one.
Oh, are you okay? Oh, wow. Are you okay? I told you I wasn't graceful enough. There's nothing graceful. Are you okay? Oh. Did you help getting up?
To think the wrong things in the right time frame, so I'm on my way to hold you close. If it rains outside, we'll stay indoors with a glass of red. We'll sing in prose. We'll do what it takes to feel at home in the dark. I think we're only getting bored. I think we're hanging with the wrong crowd, maybe. I wanna leave you, but I know we won't. What's left to do or to articulate?
So, it's been a while since I checked in for this vlog. I'm a failure at vlogging. I really am a failure at I can't even say it. I'm a failure at vlogging. I really am. I'm just not very good at checking in. Does anyone else relate? Does anyone else relate? Please tell me you relate to this, because I'm okay at filming the B-roll, but then I just never actually talk to the camera, apart from when I'm like sat down to film or sit down videos, and I haven't done that in 2 weeks. So now here we are, and it's been a while. So, a bit more review style. I read and I finished Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and I really liked it. I knew going in that I was probably going to really like it because I have enjoyed and absolutely loved Emily Henry's 2 previous romances, People We Meet on Vacation and Beach Read. Like, I gave both of those 5 stars. This one I liked, but I don't think I liked it quite as much as those 2. So I think this one's more of like a 4.5 stars. So still really, really liked it, but didn't quite like it to the same extent as those 2. So in this one, Book Lovers, we are following a literary agent and a editor. They haven't really got along in the past. The literary agent is quite, I guess, cold in that she is very driven. She's very, very driven, and that she's driven by her job and by her authors that she's representing, and that she always wants to, that is her priority, and her priority is making a good life for herself and for her family. So there is a big focus on sibling relationships. Our main character and her sister lost their mother at a young age, and so our main character feels as though she is driven to look after her sister and provide support, and so that has driven her to be quite cold and cutthroat within her job. And then at the start of the book, the sister proposes a holiday to this town in South or North Carolina, one of them, where they end up bumping into this editor that she has previously had disagreements with, and it goes from there as they spend their summer in this small town. And I really, really liked it. I liked seeing the relationship with the sister and seeing how their relationship developed. That was a really big focus of the book. And as well, seeing the relationship develop between her and the editor, because that was that was really nice. It was just so, yes. So there were lots of elements that I really liked, particularly those two relationships, so the love interest and the sibling relationship, and having that as a focus and seeing those relationships develop. So I really liked those aspects. I think maybe I don't even know why I didn't like this one quite as much as her previous two. Maybe it's that I didn't quite connect to our characters as much. I don't know. I feel like it had the traditional Emily Henry twists, so a cute romance, but also more hard-hitting themes as well, which I feel as though has been present in her previous two books. But I mean, I definitely recommend it. If you've enjoyed her other two works, then I feel like you will enjoy this. I don't foresee someone really disliking this after enjoying her previous two books. I think it sticks within the same vein. So I definitely recommend it. I have also picked up Gallant, and I am 2/3 of the way through. So this was the book that I took to Luxembourg with me. Me and Sophia from Sophia's Thoughts went to go visit Joanna from Joanna Souza, which was just so much fun. It was so fun. And we decided that we were going to buddy read Gallant together whilst we were all together. So that's what we did. We took the book with us, all with such great intentions to read this during our stay, and we didn't do very well. Considering that this is a really short book, this was 300 pages, it should have been like a 4-hour audiobook on 2x speed. We read like 50 pages, which was something. It was something, but it was only 50 pages. So we didn't get very far when we were reading this together. So it wasn't a great buddy read because we didn't actually read it together. And then, yeah, well, that happened. I have since continued with this, and I am now 215 pages through this, and I am enjoying it. This is again, it's not my favourite V. Schwab. It's not, unfortunately. I hope this is not a theme for this video, that all the books are from, actually, yeah, all of these books that I'm reading for this video are authors that I've read from before, and I really hope that the theme is not, oh, I have read from these authors before and these books aren't as good as the ones I've read previously, because that just sucks. But yeah, again, this so far has been really good, but it's not as good as Addie LaRue or The Darker Shades of Magic. I like our main character, I like the atmosphere. In this, you're following main character Olivia, and she has been brought up in an orphanage, and at the beginning of the book she gets a letter from a uncle inviting her to live with him at Gallant, and that they've been looking for her for many years. All that she has from her childhood is a diary from her mother saying, whatever you do, don't go to Gallant. That's how it starts off, and you follow her as she goes to Gallant and discovers this house and the slightly creepy atmosphere that is this house. So I'm definitely intrigued to see where this is going to go, seeing as I don't have that much left now. I don't think it will take me too long to finish this, because ideally it's not going to take me very long to finish this because it's only 100 pages, and it reads quite quickly. Like it's a very small book, so there's not like too many words per page. There's also images throughout, so in theory this shouldn't take me too long to finish, but so far I'm enjoying it. It's just not like hitting the same way as some of her adult books have hit for me, but I think it's very well written. There's nothing wrong with the writing style or the characters, or there's nothing wrong with this as a story. I just feel like some of her other stories have resonated more with me. There's that. I will probably check in at the end of this once I finish it and wrap up my overall thoughts on this, and then I can move on to my other two books. So there's still the Mirror Mended novella by Alex E. Harrow, and I still have The Hunger of the Gods to read. So those are the plans, and I will check in once I've read a little bit more. Hello. So I just wanted to check in and be a bit more regular with my actual vlogging. So I have finished Gallant now, and I think my thoughts still stand that I liked it, but I didn't love it. I've given it 3 stars. That I think it was quite average. I think it was well written, that I do like the writing style, because I do like V. Schwab's writing and I have enjoyed the majority of her books, but I do prefer her adult books. That's something that I know about myself, that I do prefer her adult works, that they just hit better for me. That I just wanted a little bit more from this, that I wanted it probably to be adult, that I wanted it to be darker. I wanted more. I wanted just more. Give me more. So I think those would be my critiques with it, that I just felt like it was quite surface level, and I wanted more than surface level. I wanted to get into the events more. I wanted to get into the characters a bit more. I wanted to experience. I wanted more descriptions, more into the characters, and it felt quite surface level and quite plot driven, that we were just being driven forward by the plot, by this house. So I think that was where I stand with it. And I have since started The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne, so the biggest book for this video, and I am about 50% of the way through, so really getting my teeth into it now. That I'm over the 50% mark, over 300 pages in, and I really like it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really getting back into this world, into these characters. I'm reminded of why I really like John Gwynne and his books and his writing style and his characters, that I felt this to be a really engaging installment in the series so far, that I am invested in seeing what's going to happen with all these characters, where it's all headed to, and I'm definitely intrigued to see what's going to happen next. So I'm excited to keep reading more on this, hopefully later on today, that I'm going to make some good progress on this book, because I'm really, really enjoying it. And if you don't know, The Shadow of the Gods is a epic fantasy, quite grim, dark in nature, and you're centered around three main points of view. So Elvar, who is a part of this warband, and she is originally from like a more noble family, and she has left and like trying to defy her father and has become part of this warband, and you followed them. Varg, who is a former slave, and his journey in escaping his slavedom and where he is headed from that. And then Orca, who is a wife and mother, and events at the beginning of the book push her onto a journey, which is not exactly what she has planned, not at all to plan. And then this installment, you're following the events from the end of that first book, and that big catalyst that is propelling the plot now, seeing where the events are taking us. In this world, there are dead gods, and the gods have been a big influence on the world, and you have descendants or children, which are now called tainted, who have the power of the gods that live within them. I'm really liking this. I was a bit nervous going in because I heard that it's more of like a bridge book, but I'm really liking it. So especially like, I think for the first maybe 100 pages, I was a bit anxious going in, as it's been, a year since I read that first book, so my thoughts aren't exactly fresh on it, but it does have like a really detailed like character list. It has a synopsis, like a reminder of the previous book, which I really liked, and I think more authors need to do that, because I seriously appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it, having a little reminders of the past. Here's what happened, because it's just so useful, especially as it's done actually by the author, and so they're putting in things that you know are going to be relevant. Like, I like it. Anyway, but I found it relatively okay to re-find my feet within this world. The first chapter is pretty much straight after the events of the first book, that you do just go straight in. There's no time, don't you, just straight in, which I think is something similar across all of John Gwynne's books, that I've noticed, that it could just be like one continuous tale that keeps going, that there isn't any break between first, second book, and I assume between the third book as well, there's not going to be a break, it's just going to keep going. I'm again really liking all our characters. There are some increased perspectives in this, and I'm really enjoying reading from those perspectives too, that they're really, really interesting to read from. And I'm liking like how dark and brutal this world is. I'm really liking it. I think I've had a little break from like epic adult fantasy, and I'm just really enjoying being back in like an epic adult fantasy world now. Like, I've had my break, and now I'm happy to be back. Like, I needed that little break where I read a lot more romance and some more lighter fantasies, but now being back, I'm back in my home, like back with John Gwynne. Like, this is just where I need to be. So anyway, I'm really, really enjoying this, and we'll check in probably when I finish it. I finished it. I finished The Hunger of the Gods. I finished it last night, and I feel like I'm still processing it. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this, and I'm glad this broke the streak of reading books from authors that I read from before and those books not being as good as previous books, because this one was just as good for me. Like, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. I think I enjoyed this more than The Shadow of the Gods, but just because I was so compelled to read it and keep reading it. Like, this did not feel like a 600-page book, because I just, especially the second half, I just wanted to be reading it. I wanted to know what was going to happen next. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed this one and would definitely recommend it. I felt like I just fell back into the story, like, so easily. I was straight back in with these characters and with this world, and I felt like this did a really good job of like exploring the characters more and like getting us more into the characters and into this world. Like, I felt like the development within this was so well done. I just really enjoyed all of the plot arcs, like where the characters got to within this installment, and my like feelings towards all the characters that just grew. I just really liked them, and seeing where it went. There is a lot of traveling in this, maybe a bit too much traveling. All of our characters are traveling in various different directions, and there is a lot of that. Like, there's a lot of moving chess pieces, a lot of journeying, but I didn't really mind that. Like, I think it depends. If you don't like journeys, then you might have issues with this. If you like, can people stop traveling? Because they do a lot of traveling, but I didn't really mind. But I guess there was a notable amount of journeying. I really liked the new perspectives that we got in this. I think they were very interesting perspectives to follow. I liked that they were more on the villainous side. So it was really interesting having that dynamic and seeing them, because I enjoy when John Gwynne puts in villains. Like, he's put villains in his previous books. Maybe that's the thing about second books in John Gwynne's series. He puts in the villain perspective. Anyway, I really liked the new perspectives that we got in this. I think they really made it they really rounded out the story where this ended. I feel like I'd had a prediction after I read book one, and I guess my prediction is correct. I thought that some of the events in here could have happened. I didn't know how like they were going to happen. I had a prediction, and I wasn't exactly surprised by the ending, but I have to know what's going to happen next. I need the next book. I need the third book, because I need to know if all my people are safe or not safe, or what's going to happen. And I really enjoyed the exploration of the gods and like where that went in this story, because I found that those aspects really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I've heard like some people say this was a bridge book. For me, it didn't really feel like a bridge book, because I was just compelled to keep reading the whole time. I was really just into it. I was really into it. This is a 5-star for me. 5 stars, because I've slept on it now. Like, when I finished it, I was like, 5 stars, and I was like, is it 5 stars? It's a 5-star. It's a 5-star, because I was just so compelled to keep reading the whole time. Like, I raced through the second half. I raced through it. So 5 stars, I definitely recommend. If you've not read John Gwynne, then you should go and read John Gwynne, whether you read this series or whether you read The Faithful and the Fallen, which is a favourite of all time. But you should definitely read these books, or his books in general. And yeah, I really like this. So there we go. And I have started the final book for this vlog, which is A Spindle Splintered. Started it on the train this morning, so I only got 10% in, but I'm hoping to finish that this evening, because it is a little novella. So I will check back once I have hopefully finished that. So we have now come to the end of the vlog, and I am going to wrap up my thoughts on the final book, A Mirror Mended, and then close everything out. So A Mirror Mended by Alexi Harrow. This is the second book in the Fractured Fables series by her. These are short novellas, and they are linked, so this is a continuation from that first book. I wasn't too sure how it was going to link, like whether this was going to be like separate they were going to be, but this is definitely a continuation following the same characters from that first book, but with a more Snow White twist, looking at the villain of Snow White as a focal character. And I don't feel like I liked this one as much as the first one. In the first one, the modern references mixed with the fairy tales sort of worked, whereas in this one they felt a little bit forced, and sometimes the references were just in at really odd times, and I was like, but why here, why now? So I just didn't, I felt like they were a little awkward. in this one. The arcs of the characters from the first novella were pretty wrapped up, that it was quite a satisfying ending. And I guess in some way it's quite a satisfying ending here again, but I didn't feel as though it needed to be continued on. Like, I would have been happy having this centred around other characters, more of a standalone as opposed to a continuation, because it didn't really need to be continued. I don't feel like it did anything wrong. It wasn't bad, but I just felt like it was quite average. It felt quite average, that I never really like connected to anything about it, and I would have liked to have connected to a little bit more. Like, I think there's the bones there for an interesting story. The whole like structuring of the world is that you have the fairy tales and you have different iterations of the fairy tales, and you can sort of jump between the worlds and see different iterations of them, whether they're from like the Brothers Grimm or like Disney. And so it has, or if they're going into like the past or the future, like there's different iterations of the fairy tales with those different characters, and that sort of aspect of it I like. But I feel like that as a theme, as a premise, is better than where the story actually goes. So I don't know, I just felt like it was quite average. I probably will end up continuing on with the series. I mean, I feel like this one again wraps up pretty well. Like, I don't feel as though there's loads of plot threads left open. So I do feel pretty satisfied with it. I do feel pretty satisfied with it, but I think that she will keep doing other fairy tales, bringing other fairy tale characters into this narrative, but I just feel like it could be more than what it is. So that was the 5th and final book for my reading of 2022 releases. Oof, I don't think I've ever read 5 books for a video before, and it feels like a lot of books that have been read, and that I've been doing this for a very long time. So to wrap up the past few weeks of reading, I have read River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty, which I really loved and gave 5 stars, and just thoroughly enjoyed my being back in that world. I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which I gave 4.5 stars, and again really enjoyed, really love her writing style and just enjoy her romances, so a success there. I read Gallant by V.E. Schwab, which was pretty just average for me. I gave it 3 stars. I liked it, but wanted more from it. I read The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne, which I absolutely loved, 5 stars. Would recommend, everyone should read John Gwynne, 100%, loved it. Great continuation to that series. And then I have just read A Mirror Mended, which is the 2nd book in the Fractured Fables series, which again I thought was a bit average. So in general, 3 of the books that I really liked and gave 4.5 stars, and 2 of them I thought were quite average. And probably quite forgettable. So generally quite positive. I didn't dislike or hate anything that I read, so hopefully this has helped you decide if you were going to pick up any of these 2022 releases, and if you're going to prioritise them when you might get to them. If hopefully my thoughts have helped you and helped you decide if you're going to pick up any of these books. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!